Don't move to Florida until you watch this. So, you're dreaming of moving to Florida, picturing yourself with a drink in hand, palm trees swaying, not a care in the world. Before you even think about loading a single moving box, you need to press pause and watch this. I'm about to pull back the curtain on the biggest myths about South Florida's cost of living, weather, and housing that the glossy brochures conveniently leave out. In our team, as a real estate pros right here in the trenches of South Florida, I've seen way too many people make life-altering financial blunders because they were sold a fantasy. In the next few minutes, I'm going to give you the dose of reality you need to make sure you're not one of them. This isn't clickbait. It's a real deal warning from helping hundreds of families move the smart way. Let's bust the 7 myths you have to understand before you even think about calling South Florida home, the affordability myth. The first myth, and it's a big one, is that all of South Florida is ridiculously expensive. People see a postcard of a waterfront condo in Miami, check the price tag, and immediately write off the entire region as impossible. That's a rookie mistake that could kill your Florida dream before it even gets started. Here's the truth. While the coastal cities will absolutely drain your bank account, incredible affordability is waiting just a short drive inland. And when I say short drive, I mean within a couple of hours, sometimes less. Florida isn't just beaches and high-rise condos. It's farmland, horse country, lakes, gated communities, new construction neighborhoods, and quiet towns where your dollar stretches dramatically further. Let's actually run the numbers. The median home price for the Miami-Fort Lauderdale coastal area is an intimidating $670,000. But head inland to a community like Ocala, and that median price plummets to around $275,000. Go a little further to Sebring, and you're looking at about $250,000. Now, here's what most people don't factor in. It's not just the purchase price. Insurance premiums are typically lower inland. Property taxes can be lower. HOA fees are often more reasonable, and you're not competing with as many cash investors from out of state or overseas driving prices up. Let's put that in terms of your monthly budget. With your mortgage, taxes, and Florida's infamous insurance, a family on the coast near Miami could be staring at a $4,100 monthly housing bill. That same family in Ocala, their payment could be closer to $1,800. That is a mind-blowing difference of $2,300 every single month. That's over $27,000 a year that stays in your pocket. Think about what $27,000 a year could do for your family. That's private school tuition. That's maxing out retirement accounts. That's family vacations. That's paying off debt faster. That's building real wealth instead of just surviving your mortgage payment. And here's the kicker. Many of these inland communities are growing fast. New hospitals, new schools, new shopping centers, new infrastructure. You're not moving to the middle of nowhere. You're moving to areas that are expanding and developing every year. So the idea that South Florida is unaffordable is just plain wrong. It's unaffordable if you only look at the coast. But if you widen your search radius just a little, the math tells a completely different story. You just have to know where to look. The lifestyle myth. And that brings me to the next big lie people tell themselves, that you have to live on the coast to enjoy the real Florida lifestyle. They've got this idea that if they aren't 5 minutes from a beach, they're missing out on everything the Sunshine State is famous for. Honestly, that could not be further from the truth. The secret that tourists don't know is that the inland communities are offering the exact amenities people are moving here for, but at a fraction of the price and with a much more relaxed vibe. Think about it. Private golf clubs, world-class public courses, endless biking trails, and pickleball courts aren't just a coastal thing. We're seeing gorgeous gated neighborhoods with resort-style pools, A-rated schools, and amazing parks popping up inland, all without the coastal price tag and the never-ending parade of tourists. You get the beautiful Florida afternoons without the traffic jams and sky-high dinner bills. And here's something else nobody talks about. Lifestyle isn't just about proximity to the ocean, it's about space. It's about quiet mornings. It's about being able to park your car without circling the block for 20 minutes. It's about your kids riding their bikes safely in the neighborhood. It's about actually knowing your neighbors instead of living in a revolving door of short-term rentals. In many inland communities, you're getting larger lots, bigger homes, and actual backyards. You're getting room for a pool, space for a garden, maybe even space to breathe. Meanwhile, on the coast, you might be paying double for half the square footage and sharing walls with 3 different Airbnb units. And even if you want that coastal flavor, cities like Fort Lauderdale, the Venice of America, offer a stunning canal and boating scene that feels a world away from the 24/7 chaos of Miami. The beauty of Florida is that you don't have to live directly on the sand to enjoy the water. Weekend beach days are still an option. Boating, fishing, waterfront dining, it's all accessible without being your everyday headache. Plus, inland living often means stronger community roots, fewer spring breakers, fewer seasonal crowds, more consistency, more stability. That translates into better schools, less congestion, and a lifestyle that feels sustainable long term, not just exciting for the first 6 months. The best value, and often the best quality of life, is found where the tourists aren't looking. And the people who figure that out early, they're the ones building equity, building community, and actually enjoying Florida instead of just posting about it. The lifestyle myth. And that brings me to the next big lie people tell themselves, that you have to live on the coast to enjoy the real Florida lifestyle. They've got this idea that if they aren't 5 minutes from a beach, they're missing out on everything the Sunshine State is famous for. Honestly, that could not be further from the truth. The secret that tourists don't know is that the inland communities are offering the exact amenities people are moving here for, but at a fraction of the price and with a much more relaxed vibe. Think about it. Private golf clubs, world-class public courses, endless biking trails, and pickleball courts aren't just a coastal thing. We're seeing gorgeous gated neighborhoods with resort-style pools, A-rated schools, and amazing parks popping up inland, all without the coastal price tag and the never-ending parade of tourists. You get the beautiful Florida afternoons without the traffic jams and sky-high dinner bills. And here's something else nobody talks about. Lifestyle isn't just about proximity to the ocean. It's about space. It's about quiet mornings. It's about being able to park your car without circling the block for 20 minutes. It's about your kids riding their bikes safely in the neighborhood. It's about actually knowing your neighbors instead of living in a revolving door of short-term rentals. It's about feeling settled instead of feeling like you're living in a permanent vacation zone. In many inland communities, you're getting larger lots, bigger homes, and actual backyards. You're getting room for a pool, space for a garden, maybe even space to breathe. Meanwhile, on the coast, you might be paying double for half the square footage and sharing walls with 3 different Airbnb units. And don't forget the hidden stress, parking issues, crowded restaurants, higher insurance premiums, and the constant noise that comes with high-density living. And even if you want that coastal flavor, cities like Fort Lauderdale, the Venice of America, offer a stunning canal and boating scene that feels a world away from the 24/7 chaos of Miami. The beauty of Florida is that you don't have to live directly on the sand to enjoy the water. Weekend beach days are still an option. Boating, fishing, waterfront dining, it's all accessible without being your everyday headache. You can enjoy the coast intentionally instead of paying a premium to tolerate it daily. Plus, inland living often means stronger community roots, fewer spring breakers, fewer seasonal crowds, more consistency, more stability. That translates into better schools, less congestion, and a lifestyle that feels sustainable long term. Not just exciting for the first 6 months. It's the difference between a highlight reel and real life. The best value and often the best quality of life is found where the tourists aren't looking. And the people who figure that out early, they're the ones building equity, building community, and actually enjoying Florida instead of just posting about it. They're not chasing the image, they're living the reality. The insurance myth. This next one is the silent budget killer. The myth that homeowners insurance is just another small, predictable expense. People get their mortgage pre-approval, find their dream house, and then they get the phone call from the insurance agent that changes everything. Here's the reality check. Florida's homeowners insurance is a massive, unpredictable, and often shocking cost. The difference between a coastal home and an inland one is astronomical. In many coastal zones, you can expect insurance and property taxes to tack on an extra $600 a month or more to your payment. Move to an inland area, and that number could drop to just $200. On a typical home, that's a difference of thousands of dollars every single year. And here's where it really gets painful. Insurance isn't just higher, it's volatile. Policies get non-renewed, carriers leave the state. Deductibles for hurricanes are often separate and much higher than standard claims. Some homeowners are forced into state-backed insurance options that cost more and cover less. So it's not just about price, it's about stability and risk. This is all driven by the very real threat of hurricanes, which has sparked a full-blown insurance crisis. Roof age matters, flood zones matter. Wind mitigation inspections matter. The year your home was built matters. 2 houses on the same street can have wildly different premiums depending on those factors. If you don't understand that before you buy, you can walk straight into a financial surprise you weren't prepared for. In fact, the cost of living and insurance hikes are a major reason why the state's net domestic migration fell from a peak of over 314,000 people in 2022 to just 64,000 in 2024, a staggering drop of nearly 80%. People are learning the hard way that the sunshine tax is very, very real. But here's the strategic move. You don't avoid Florida, you buy smarter in Florida. Newer construction inland, homes outside high-risk flood zones, properties with updated roofs and full wind mitigation credits. Those decisions can mean the difference between manageable payments and constant financial stress. The bottom line, insurance in Florida isn't a footnote in your budget, it's a major line item, and if you ignore it, it will absolutely control your monthly payment more than your interest rate ever will. The "who is moving" myth. This leads to a huge misunderstanding about who's actually coming to Florida these days. The myth, fed by stories from a couple of years ago, is that everyone is just flocking here for cheap living and early retirement. That story has completely flipped. The pandemic-era gold rush is over, Florida's migration pattern has changed, and South Florida, especially Miami, has become a powerful magnet for high-earning professionals. While overall migration into the state has cooled, Miami is attracting a very specific crowd. These aren't people looking to save a few bucks, they're making strategic career moves. Miami is rapidly transforming into a global hub for finance, technology, and venture capital. People are chasing careers, not just sunshine. And that distinction matters. The buyers entering the market now often have remote executive salaries, Wall Street bonuses, startup exits, or international capital behind them. They're not stretching to qualify. They're competing aggressively. They're paying cash. They're waiving contingencies. They're comfortable with higher price points because their earning power supports it. This is critical to understand because the competition for housing and the entire local economy is now being supercharged by high-wage earners, and that changes the game for everyone. When higher-income buyers flood into a market, prices don't just rise, expectations rise. Restaurants get more expensive, luxury developments increase, property taxes climb as values go up. The baseline cost of living shifts upward. At the same time, this economic shift is creating opportunity. Stronger job markets, more networking potential, more capital flowing into local businesses, more infrastructure development. Miami isn't just growing, it's evolving. And whether that works for you depends entirely on your strategy and income level. If you're moving here thinking it's going to feel like a low-cost retirement haven from 5 years ago, you're going to experience serious sticker shock. But if you understand that you're entering a competitive, career-driven, globally connected market, you can position yourself accordingly. The people moving to South Florida now aren't chasing discounts, they're chasing upside. And if you don't understand that shift, you'll misread the entire market. The housing bubble myth. When people hear about this new market dynamic and see the prices, they immediately jump to the next myth, that South Florida is in a massive housing bubble that's about to burst. The headlines love scary words like bubble and crash, and it's causing a lot of would-be buyers to sit on the sidelines, paralyzed by fear. The reality isn't one big ocean, it's more like a collection of different lakes. While some of the more affordable segments of the statewide market have seen prices cool off, the high-end market these wealthy professionals are buying into is built on a much stronger foundation. This isn't the wild speculation of the past. Today's luxury buyers are drawn by powerful fundamentals. Florida's zero state income tax is a huge financial incentive. Major tech and finance companies are expanding their footprint here, and Miami-Dade continues to post strong job growth. For this group, buying here isn't a short-term flip, it's a long-term wealth strategy, and that's a critical difference from 2008. Back then, loose lending, over-leveraged buyers, and speculative flipping created instability. Today's buyers are far more qualified. Many are putting significant cash down. Lending standards are tighter. Inventory levels, while improving, are still not oversupplied in many desirable areas. That creates a very different risk profile than a true bubble environment. Does that mean prices will never adjust? Of course not. Real estate moves in cycles. Some neighborhoods will correct. Some price points will soften. Sellers who overreached during the frenzy are already having to adjust expectations. But a market correction is not the same thing as a crash. Cooling is not collapsing. In fact, what we're seeing in many parts of South Florida is normalization. More negotiation, fewer bidding wars, homes sitting slightly longer on the market. For buyers, that's not a warning sign. That's opportunity. It means inspections matter again, appraisals matter again, strategy matters again. So while you might see prices soften in some areas, the intense demand from this high income demographic is creating a surprisingly resilient floor under the market, especially in prime locations. Waterfront property, new construction with strong storm standards, and homes in established neighborhoods with limited supply continue to hold value because the demand behind them is fundamentally strong. It's a tale of two completely different markets unfolding at the same time. And the biggest mistake you can make is assuming every headline applies equally to every neighborhood, every price point, and every buyer. Understanding which lake you're stepping into is what separates a smart move from a costly one. The renting is cheaper myth. Finally, let's kill the myth that you can just rent for a while to try before you buy and that it'll be the smarter financial move. People assume renting will save them from the high price of ownership, but they are often in for a rude awakening. The truth is, renting in South Florida, especially in the neighborhoods everyone wants to live in, is brutally expensive. The average rent for a one-bedroom in Miami is hovering around $2,200 a month, which is about 36% higher than the national average. And that's just the average. If you want to be in a trendy spot like Wynwood, you could easily be looking at $2,800 to over $3,600 for an apartment. Even in a historically more affordable area like Little Havana, rents can range from $2,200 to $2,800. When you do the math, you realize that your monthly rent check on the coast could likely cover the entire mortgage, tax, and insurance payment for a beautiful home you own in one of those inland communities we talked about. For so many families, renting isn't saving money. It's just paying off someone else's investment while you could be building your own. Look, figuring out this market isn't simple. The headlines shout one thing, the tourism ads promise another, and the reality on the ground is something else entirely. That's exactly why my team and I spend every single day helping people just like you make a smart, informed move to South Florida. Not just selling them a house, but finding the right community that actually fits their life and their budget. If you're even thinking about making a move, whether it's in the next 9 days or 90, all of my contact information is right down in the description. Shoot me a text, send an email, give us a call. My team and I are here to be your go-to resource. Remember, South Florida isn't a one-size-fits-all t-shirt. The financial gap between living on the coast versus slightly inland is enormous. The lifestyle you're dreaming of is absolutely possible, but your money goes so much further when you know where to look. And the whole reason people are moving here has changed. This isn't just a retirement spot anymore. It's a serious career destination. Knowing these truths is the first step toward making a move you won't regret. I hope this gave you the clarity you needed to start planning your move the right way.